Hello there, interwebs, and welcome to Jessie Gender After Dark, where the nerdy gets sexy and the sexy gets nerdy. Look, this is a brand new channel. I'm still figuring out the motto. If you've got a better motto, you let me know down in the comments. I would actually like to hear it because I need advice. But yes, for those of you who don't know, this is my brand new channel, Jessie Gender After Dark, where I'm going to gush and talk about all the weird, nerdy, geeky, dorky things that get me excited. All the stuff that may not fit or work on my main channel, Jessie Gender, where I talk about LGBTQ, transgender, and social and political issues through geekdoms and fandom. And for my inaugural video on this channel, I am going to be ranking every single Star Trek captain by sexiness. Oh yeah, going where no woman has gone before, if you know what I mean. Or, you know, if you're talking about Captain Kirk, where every woman has gone before.
On Earth, men and women live together, help each other, make each other happy.
Now, obviously, sexy is a very sort of personal taste thing. So obviously, this is my list. Other people may have a different qualifier for what they find as sexy. This is meant to just be fun, kind of laugh along with me. Also, the other thing, too, is we are going to be talking about the fictional characters. I'm not ranking the actual actors. This is just meant to be a joke, meant to be funny. I'm not trying to objectify actual people, but just joking about these characters as they appear in the show. Also, before we get started, since this is a brand new channel, please don't forget to like and subscribe. That will really help me out as we continue to grow this new channel here. All right, at the bottom of our sexiness list, and I know it's going to be a controversial choice for many of you, but it is going to be Captain Pike, as played by Jeffrey Hunter in The Cage, the original pilot for Star Trek. Now, don't worry, I will have Anson Mount's Captain Pike somewhere else on this list, so if you are an Anson Mount stan, don't worry, he is higher on this list. Much, much higher on this list. But the reason that this version of Captain Pike is so low on the list is he's not a bad looking guy. He seems fairly affable, but dude's kind of a scumbag if you really look into it. One of the first things we see this version of Captain Pike do is call out how uncomfortable he feels that a woman is on the bridge.
But I can't get used to having a woman on the bridge.
Putting down Majel Barrett, of all people, decidedly not sexy. Also, Pike in The Cage is just kind of like really weirdly disdainful to all the women in his life. Not only is he disdainful to number one, but also to Vina on Talos, he kind of just ignores. His human, he kind of ignores. And I understand that he's like the captain of a starship, so he's not supposed to get romantic, but he just more seems like angry that they're even there. Also, he gets very, very angry very, very quickly throughout this episode.
All I want to do is get my hands on you. Then you read these thoughts, images of hate, killing.
And also, at one point in the episode, he makes reference to the fact that he would kind of be okay with being an Orion slave trader.
Like going to business on Regulus or on the Orion colony.
You, an Orion trader dealing in green animal women slaves?
That is 100% not sexy at all. I will give him points, though, for looking real hot while taking care of a horse, but even Captain PICARD did that sexier, so come on. So for all that, the original Captain Pike, way at the bottom of the list. Next up on the list is Captain Lorca.
And we get one chance to get it right.
Now, don't get me wrong, Captain Lorca, very, very hot dude. I love his voice. He has a very, very sexy voice. Believe me, a sexy voice can take you a long way.
I did choose you, but not for the reasons you think.
However, Lorca kind of falls into the same problem that I have with Pike in that he's just a despicable, despicable person. Like, quite literally, he's revealed to be a fascist.
I know you understand that I had to lie to you, Michael, to get home. Just like you know that the Federation is a social experiment doomed to failure.
That's a bit of a problem. Not a fan of that. And I mean, the dude might even pull out a phaser on you in the middle of the night, and it's not even the fun kind of phaser. I mean, I'm all for some consensual play danger during my sexy times, but that's a bit much. So Lorca gets a little bit higher than the original Captain Pike in my book, mostly because of his voice. And don't get me wrong, a sexy voice can take you a long way, but it can't take it past fascism, because fascism, decidedly one of the most unsexy, in fact, probably the most unsexiest thing. Most unsexiest? Whatever. Fascism is unsexy, and he gets at the bottom of the list for this. Next up on the list, we have Captain Archer. Now, don't get me wrong, Scott Bakula, the actual person, definitely a very sexy man, very intelligent, awesome dude. He definitely is a silver fox nowadays. But Captain Archer, as played in Enterprise, he does still have that kind of problem that I have with Pike and Lorca, in that he kind of has a little bit of a racism thing towards Vulcans, especially earlier on in the show.
You have no idea how much I'm restraining myself from knocking you on your ass.
But that doesn't, he gets over that, so I can kind of forgive that a little bit. However, Archer does have an adorable dog, and that can definitely make any man sexier. But the real reason that Archer gets so low on this list is I kind of feel like Archer really wouldn't know what to do in a sexy situation whatsoever. Like, I feel like if I was with Archer, it would kind of be like dealing with a clueless puppy dog being like, no, honey, no, we have to, okay, this is what you're supposed to do. This is what turns me on.
What's your planet called? What do you do? Do you have a family?
We've been having such a wonderful time. I really don't want to spoil it.
I feel like Archer just does not know how to sexy a woman. And you see that clearly in episodes like A Night in Sickbay, where like he tries hitting on like his dream version of T'Pol, and it's really awkward and strange, and they're like rubbing Portho. It's very weird and very awkward. So Scott Bakula, great. Archer, kind of clueless, and for that, not very sexy. At least he's not a fascist, though. A little bit of a speciesist against Vulcans, though, but you know what? We work with what we work with. All right, next on the list, we are finally out of the slightly problematic captains, and we are going to go with Captain Burnham. Now, don't get me wrong, Burnham, very sexy woman, especially when she has the change of hairstyle in Season 3. Like, oh my gosh, like, whoo, dang. That being said, though, she is a bit of a responsibility hoarder, as they say in the show, and I feel like that just means, like, she would be so overly concerned about, like, me and any relationship or sexy situation that we were in.
We're done here.
And, you know, as much as I like to be someone who is cared for and pampered in any type of, like, sexy, hot situation that I may be in, believe me, that's the kind of person that I am. I also like to be someone who gives back, who, like, doesn't want to have all the attention on me. So I just feel like, the dynamic in any sort of, like, sexy situation with Burnham would be a little bit off. And so I find Burnham to be very sexy, but sadly not the sexiest. That being said, though, Burnham easily has the sexiest sex scene in all of Star Trek. Like, have you seen her with Book? Hot damn. Next up on our list, we have Captain Kirk as played by William Shatner. So, I kind of lied. We do have another problematic captain here, especially as Captain Kirk was portrayed in the original series. Definitely how he treated a lot of women was, not great. But that being said, the man did have a little bit of a suave charm, a little bit like, you know what? He may question women's sanity from time to time, which is a problem, but he can turn on the charm when he wants to. Do I love 1960s sexism in my captains? Not really, but I could take it for an evening and be charmed by a slightly problematic dude.
No. Not programmed for you.
Next on our list, we have Captain Freeman from Lower Decks. Captain Freeman is amazing. She is confident, she is strong-willed, she takes charge on the bridge, she is so ethical, as she likes to say herself.
Well, we're Starfleet. Figuring out impossible problems is what we do.
Definitely scores high on the confidence meter. The problem is, she's perhaps a little bit too confident. She's a little bit full of herself, as we see throughout the show. And again, I like confidence, and I can deal with a little bit of ego in the person that I find sexy. But Captain Freeman might be a little too egotistical? That's the word I was looking for, egotistical, for my book. So Captain Freeman, great, very hot, very sexy, a little bit too egotistical in the long run for me. However, I will say this, the way she says warp me,
Warp me!
oh yeah, that's a turn on. All right, next up on the list, we have Captain Kirk again, as played by Chris Pine in the Kelvin timeline. All right, so Chris Pine's Captain Kirk gets a little bit higher than William Shatner's Kirk, just because he's a little bit less problematic than the 1960s William Shatner Captain Kirk was. He's still kind of a little bit of a douche, especially as we see him in Star Trek 2009 as he tries to hit on Uhura.
Studying, what's your focus?
Xenolinguistics. You have no idea what that means.
Study of alien languages, morphology, phonology, syntax. Means you've got a talented tongue.
But at least the show and the movie around him is aware of the fact that he's kind of a jerk and an idiot, and at least treats him with that weight. And as he grows throughout the movies, into Darkness, and especially in Beyond, he gains that confidence. He still has that little bit of like cocky confidence that I kind of find a little bit attractive, but he's not so full of himself by the time we get to Beyond that it's very turning off as sort of a personality trait. So I like the sort of cocksure kind of Captain Kirk, very, very attractive quality, but less so in 2009. But by the time we get to Beyond, as he's like full Captain Kirk mode, hell yes. And we get to strip away that 1960 problematic like treatment of women stuff that William Shatner's Kirk was burdened with. That's attractive. Next up on the list, we have Captain SARU. So Captain SARU kind of has to have an asterisk because he's not like what I would call traditionally sexy, but he definitely has that daddy energy. Like, come on, the man wears like sweatshirts. He's like so caring and wonderful and doting. It's not like the traditional like, oh yeah, you're so hot kind of sexy.
We are introducing ourselves to the future. You, Handsome Tilly, are a wonderful first impression.
But there is an element of like, you know what? SARU could get it if he really tried. If he really tried, if he really put the effort in. I don't think he would put the effort in, but if he really did, he could get it. Also, have you seen SARU with his shirt off? And he likes flowers. So hot. He's just hot. Next on our list, we have Captain Jean-Luc Picard. All right, so just being honest, I am an American girl. American girls, or at least this American girl, does find British accents to be a little bit attractive. And even though he's technically French, the fact that it's Patrick Stewart's voice, again, voice is coming into play here, and it's a British accent, definitely not a problem.
Fight of view art pleased to dote. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day?
Also, Picard likes to give speeches, and I'll be honest, anyone who loves to give speeches about ethics and personal morals.
The first duty of every Starfleet officer is to the truth, whether it's scientific truth or historical truth or personal truth. It is the guiding principle on which Starfleet is based. Now, if you can't find it within yourself to stand up and tell the truth about what happened, you don't deserve to wear that uniform.
That's very much a turn on for me. The more ethical a person is, the sexier they are in my book. And Picard definitely is up there on that front. Also, did you see him in that Risa episode? Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Next on the list, we have Captain Georgiou. Captain Georgiou, weirdly enough, hits all exactly the same sexy beats as Picard does. She has a very sexy voice, she loves to get speeches about ethics, and she's very, very, very confident and sure of herself, and she just likes being there to like mentor and guide people, and that, I feel like that's kind of a turn on. I could use some guidance during my sexy times, if you know what I mean.
On now, the captain of your own ship. I have always tried to show you by example. The best way to know yourself is to know others. So,
yeah, Georgiou, weirdly, very similar to Picard on the sexiness meter, but I put her slightly above because I think Georgiou's kind of just hot. All right, third from the top, we have Captain Janeway. Again, voice comes into very large play with the sexiness meter for Janeway. Like, Janeway's voice, like, how could you not just want her to, like, just talk to you like sweet nothings, dirty nothings?
Bridge to Chakotay, Scorpion.
Whew, whew, whew. Also, like Picard, she is a very ethical person. She likes to stand up for morals, as a lot of Star Trek captains do, but, like, she's got a, like, twinge of danger to her. Like, she's willing to do some of the darker things if she really needs to. Now, she always tries to do the ethical thing, but if she's put into a corner, she will do some dark stuff, which, kind of a turn on. All right, second from the top, it had to be Captain Benjamin Sisko. Very similar things as everyone else on this list. He has a very sexy voice. He likes to be very ethical, but he's willing to go very, very dark. Shauna has the same thing that Janeway has, except for even further. Like, I'm like, you're so ethical, but also, you have a dark side.
Because I can live with it.
And that is, yeah, I'm here for that. Also, the man just seems like he'd be a lot of fun to hang out with. Like, he's got some great hobbies. Like, take me out to a baseball game. Like, that's sexy. I'm not, you know what? It is sexy. Come on. Baseball games, they're fun times. Also, before I leave Sisko, I would be remiss if I didn't mention his very sexy goatee. All of you know me and how much I love any sort of facial hair. Facial hair automatically puts you near the top of my list. So just on that alone, SISKO's number 2. Also, the man can cook a mean dinner, and you know, there is nothing sexier than a man that can cook a mean dinner. So yeah, he's getting second place on this list. But that leaves us only one person that could be at the very top of this list, and it's kind of ironic considering who is at the bottom of this list. But number 1 is Captain Pike, as played by Anson Mount. This version of Pike is like incredibly charming, incredibly self-effacing. The man has his like charisma meter like maxed out to 100%. Like someone just maxed out their charisma points in their D&D game when building his character, if you know what I mean.
So, what should we do? How about we marry some folks, even if they're not that into each other, huh?
Oh, very good, sir.
Also, he's just like, he's got that like silver fox thing going on that I'm all here for. And then he's also just like super ethical. Like, I know I talked about like the dark side, but Captain Pike seems like he has no dark side whatsoever, period. And I am so here for that. Like, when he sees his darkest moment in Star Trek Discovery, he affirms everything but says, you believe in service, sacrifice, compassion, and love.
Service, sacrifice, compassion, and love.
And love, man. Captain Pike believes in love, and there's nothing sexier than a charismatic man who believes in love. So yeah, Anson Mount's Pike gets to be number 1.
Hit it.
But yes, that is my list for ranking all the Star Trek captains by sexiness. As I said at the top of this list, this is just meant to be a joke. It was just meant to be for fun. I'm obviously just playing around and stuff like that. So this isn't meant to be taken too seriously or anything like that. But overall, I think all the captains are wonderful and amazing. But I'd love to hear all your lists down below. Don't forget also, since this is a brand new channel, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for all my geeky, nerdy? I meant to say dorky. Geeky, nerdy, and dorky interest. Nordy just sounds like I'm hanging out in Skyrim. Anyways, starting off strong with our first video here, but thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe to my main channel, Jessie Gender. I also have a Patreon page where you can help support me up. But beyond all of that, I hope that you, as always, live long and stay sexy.